Hi, welcome to Nothing Venture, Nothing Game. I'm your host with most, your GM Jared, and today I'm joined by Steve.
Yo.
And we're going to take a look at a Kickstarter from Dungeon in a Box, the Skinny Mini Collection, Skinny Mini 2 Collection that just came out. We received the box. This is not sponsored by them at all, and we Kickstarted it ourselves, and
Twice.
Yeah, we both did one.
We're both obsessed with miniatures.
Yes. Now, if you don't know what a Skinny Mini is, or it's your first time, basically, if you don't have a lot of space like we don't,
Or money,
that's true, you can purchase these Skinny Minis. They are flat. They're on an acrylic.
Yeah.
They're acrylic, and they're flat. They're two-dimensional. But on either side has an image. And stay with us as we kind of go through what came in our box. So the first thing we're going to look at is what was in the box.
What's in the box?
So what was really cool is, let me reach deep so far. So when you got the box, it came with this beautiful. My kids loved this as they were yanking it out the top of the box, and it got everywhere. I appreciate it. It was pretty. Like, it was right on top, like when you open the box, and I thought it was really pretty.
I must have opened my box upside down.
Yeah, because it's on the bottom.
See, he had to dig for the sheet that tells you what everything is in the box.
On top?
My sheet was on top,
yeah,
which means
was on the bottom.
Which means I loaded in. Either I opened it upside down, or you opened it upside down. I'm gonna lean on the fact that you opened it upside down and you're wrong.
I 100% did it. But it was really cool. So we have a ton of minis. Now, we didn't go as far.
Yeah. So here's the thing: so we have reviewed something on this channel before from a different game, company. That had these more like flexible plastic miniatures with art on the front and back, and they had pressure fitted into bases. Now we thought it was like, look, we're always looking for different solutions to the miniature problem.
Yeah,
we play a lot of miniature games. A lot of players go, how far am I from this thing to that thing? My spell only says 30 feet. I can move 25 feet. I have a ranged weapon. All that stuff. So tactile tabletop map combat is integral into a lot of different games. Not every game, but a lot of different games need to be on a map. And we're always looking for something. Look, there's 3D printing, there's going out and buying miniatures, there's going out and buying other games. Like, I have several D&D games that I probably could use. They're unpainted miniatures, but miniatures are front way or back ways about it, are expensive. And also, if they're not painted, takes time to paint.
And space consuming.
Yeah. So we're always looking for either inexpensive miniature options or things that we don't have to spend time painting, or also it's easier to store. Because the thing is, it doesn't matter if you have all the miniatures in the world. If you can't find the miniature you want when you need it, you're not going to pull it out. If it's so annoying that you to find the one thing you need, it's going to stay in the box, it's going to stay in your basement, and it's going to collect dust. So it's nice to have different options of where, like, something that this option came with is a way of storing them in at least some sort of method. Ooh, pretty.
So this is, I believe, the combo binder. So it's the blue version, and you got the really cool logo, which I'm not sure.
Oh, you just got the blue version?
No, I got the red one too.
Okay.
We totally just argued like a married couple there. I got the blue version? No, I'm not an idiot, honey. I got both. So as you can see, we got the binders. It came with a blue and a red option. Online, you can find most of their stuff. Not exactly this, but on the Dungeon in a Box website, you can find all their stuff. Dungeons in a Box, the way they had their claim to fame was they created kind of like, it was very popular in the early 2000s.
Subscriptions. Where
you would get a subscription of a box. They did, if you remember, they had like the geek boxes back in the day. They do a similar thing, and it's a single adventure in a box, and it comes with miniatures, the adventures printed out, and other tactile stuff for your players. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it was more like similar to like those box subscriptions, but it was like if you got in the beginning, you started at the adventure at level 1, and each box is the next step in the adventure.
Yeah.
And they gave you all the miniatures and the adventure and all the maybe different options for the players in that box. So they already were coming out with minis before this Kickstarter, and then they decided to have a Kickstarter to kind of just sell just the miniatures.
Just the miniatures. So you can get the miniatures, anything you see here probably on their website. So as you open it, you'll see it's just a binder. Now it has obviously the binder clips.
Ooh, okay.
It's very nice. It's more of like a box, and it's very sturdy. Sturdy as all get up. This is great because we do go to cons.
Yeah, we do.
And it's great to just kind of have like your game prepped and the miniatures you need already in here. And then I can put my dice and the character sheets, the pre-gen character sheets. And if, and then it's one smaller thing. And then I can carry my map with me. And it's all kind of in a safe, pretty sturdy box. Also, this is really useful because if you're like me and you have children, small younglings.
Some monsters.
Yeah, a bunch of gerblins. And they get the little gerblin hands on everything. It's nice and sturdy, so they can knock around on it.
It is magnetic closed.
Yeah, and it is
not the tightest closure, but it works in a pinch. In your bag, it's not going to open up.
No. And then you have your standard
3-ring binder.
3-ring
but it's not a standard 3-ring binder. That's very much smaller than a 3-ring binder.
It's different. When you did purchase this, me and Steve did get it very aggressive. And we did purchase a lot.
Well, whatever the gold tier was.
A lot of the sheets that go in the binder.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I had an organ because yet again, in that other boxes. Kickstarter, it's not knocking the other system. They had little not little Ziploc, but each different pack came in as its own Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
But inside, to trying to fish out what you needed was a little. Once you punched them out, they all wanted to hook together.
Yeah, because they have a lot of intricate carvings.
Yeah, and they'll love to hook together. And it was like a mess.
If you ever played with the Barrels of Monkeys toys,
that's
exactly literally what it is. And then they fold in different directions.
Yeah, it was like usually like a tension, like it bent slightly into the right spot. It
wasn't terrible.
We thought it was a good idea, and then in use we started to see the problems with it. So it was a good first attempt, and yet again, this really wasn't out at the time that Kickstarter happened. So this is just like basically just the next evolution on that concept.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a fan of that concept. So this came in the box, and now we're gonna rip this open and kind of look through it.
It kept crinkling, so I stopped.
Has crinkle. Everything is well packaged. That's the first and foremost thing. And now what you're going to start to see are all the bases, the different size bases.
And we're going to get closer up shots of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And there's probably some exclusive Kickstarter nonsense in here.
Miniatures that and then this is, if you know anything, so we have Orcus.
Oh.
If you play D&D, it's either a skull demon monster for the non-Dungeons and Dragons games, like if I'm playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition and I need a very large kind of demonic creature. This is large demonic creature that you would have to fight. If I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons and I'm playing Out of the Abyss or something like that and I have to deal with Orcus, here's Orcus. They do come in a little slip. And then you kind of just have to punch them out. They're pre-cut. But this is Demon Lord of Undead. That's the title for this character. Because remember, it's
Orcus is copyrighted. You can't use Orcus.
You can't use Orcus. You have to pay Dungeons and Dragons money for Orcus.
But there's things here like there's a whole Undead sheet or like regular size miniatures. We're going to get close-up shots of all these. Mm-hmm. There is a front and a back, which I've heard. I mean, that's the same thing with the other one. So there's definitely like a front and a back to the miniature. They actually are making comments about it on the Kickstarter page. And these aren't flimsy. These are hard acrylic. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we get the bases here. So how this would work, if I'm trying to do quick and dirty, you can punch something out for me.
Right, you're going to be getting...
If you want to get Orcus going, you want to do that.
No, that's a big one. We're going to go with... non-generic undead zombie. So here's the first problem, right? As you can see, I'm trying to push it out, and it has tension to it. And now I'm concerned.
Well, they're probably just like usually if you ever play any board game and you have the box of cardboard chits, the very same concept, but it is plastic, so sometimes it takes a little extra oomph. And there may be sharp edges, so my suggestion is if there are sharp edges, you just knock that off with either a file or a sharp knife. Be careful. If you cut it, you've cut yourselves. It's not my fault. But yeah, you just get these little bases, and obviously there's different bases of different sizes. We're going to touch base on the base sizes here. So there's 3 different sizes base that comes with this set. There's the medium size, or effectively small, medium, and large. For Pathfinder terms, this is medium or small creatures, or smaller. This is a large creature like a troll or an ogre or something like that. And then we're going to get huge and gargantuan, and that's these big guns right here.
As you can see, you have your nondescript undead creature.
Yep.
And it goes squarely on a normal standard playing.
Yep. Yeah, they're all based on the 1-inch squares.
The 1-inch square. And it fits fine. There was a little problem me pushing it in. I had to find the right way. There was a right and a wrong way, which I thought was interesting. It may be because of the way it's laser cut.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of variance.
There's a little tension to it.
Which is good, because you can probably pick it up from the mini head, which is a problem we had with the other one. So, so with the other ones that we did Kickstarter a while ago, sometimes you want to, as a player, you're used to picking up the miniature by the head, or by the chest of the miniature, the middle of the miniature, right? We're so used to doing that. Yeah. And sometimes that worked in those miniatures, and sometimes you would take the miniature right out of the base, and now you'd be left. Now you gotta fiddle back with it.
Push it. That's actually what we were having problems with. That was why players, when they were moving their character, they would grab it by the head, and then the base would not be there. They wouldn't realize it. They would go to move, and then they would put it down, and then it would flop around, and then you're like, oh, there's the base, and then put it back. Yeah,
a lot of fiddling, and the more fiddling you have to do for an option, any option that is, the less likely you're going to use it, because it was just like every time you think about using that thing, the more likely you'd be like, oh, no, we'll just use pennies, we'll use dice, we'll use something else, because I don't want to be bothered with the hassle. But they kind of click into place, and that's pretty sturdy. I mean, there's going to be variance with each one of these, and there might be some bases that are slightly bigger, and there's some of these miniatures that are slightly smaller or too thick, not thick enough. But so far, batting 1,000 on, these things stick pretty well.
Yeah, they're pretty solid.
Get death. You get a big old zombie.
So if you backed high enough, you could get one specially created to look exactly like Steve. The Frost Giant. Well, it just says Frost, so it might be Jack Frost. Yeah. So you could be playing a fantasy game, and then boom, Jack Frost shows up and has a bone
to brawl at Jack Frost.
He comes nipping for your nose. Mwah.
Then we have the front, then we have the back. Like I said, the image is only printed on one side, and you can tell it's the textured front here, and it's kind of that matte color. As you see, it doesn't really shine. And that's also got the back on it. As you see, when it shines on the whole back. So the whole back, the whole one side of these are shiny, and then one side's got that matte printing on it. So you get your miniatures. So that is the printed. That's where it's printed. So it looks like these are printed on one side. I think that was the thing that we were mentioning on the Kickstarter, where they initially were probably trying to print front and back. So they would have a front printing and a back printing. And I think they were switching to everything's printed once, front and back on one side of the miniature, which made it easier for them to produce, I think, is what they were talking about. Or they were having a alignment issue, and they were having trouble lining them up because of the printing or whatever.
Well, yeah, so here's the back of it, and then here's the front. And you can see it's very nice. The front has a nice shine to it. The back has a texture to it, which I'm not opposed to, because I like textured stuff.
And here's the thing. The cool thing about it is, like, of course, like you're talking about acrylic, and if you're getting on the back side of the miniature, it's going to have a shine. It's a light might hit it. You can have a shine. I'm not talking about blinding you, but you might not be able to see what it is. But the front side, they're matted printing. Yeah. So if I'm looking at the front side, if you're orientating all the monsters to the players, they're gonna, even if it shines on them, they're still gonna be able to see what's what. And you, as the DM, you're gonna pretty much know exactly where your monsters exist. Yeah. Just clicks into place, and
now you have a nice Frost Giant.
Yeah.
Or Jack Frost.
So we got a multitude of different characters now. This is Jared's copy. Jared and I think funny enough is all the pages for the books I think I ordered.
Yes.
So they're all in my box, which we'll cut away in a second. I'll grab those to see what they look like. But we did go in together. Basically, he got a gold version, I got a gold version, and we kind of discussed what miniatures we wanted. So these are not all the miniatures we ordered. These are just the ones that are coming out of Jared's box. So I might not even have Undead on mine. Yeah. I might not have these heroes or these, like, fairies and stuff like that. But there are some Kickstarter exclusive things. They also were, I think, somewhere in here, they had elevation things, which is something that we've seen on D&D streams and stuff like that. They have the elevation bits. Oh, yeah, these are the spell effects. Those. Ooh. Yeah. There it is. There it is. That's the elevation set. I will say my first slight complaint here is the name of the thing is not on the actual miniature. it's on the
Oh,
sprue,
yes.
right?
Yes.
If you're looking at it from like a modeling perspective, they're on a sprue, right? Here's a sprue, and it says Frost. So we know that this is a Frost dude, right? Frost giant. He's a giant because he's big. He's Frost, right? Once he's out, now I know, you know, all of us who know this is a Frost giant. I wish it was printed on the tab.
Oh, like down here. between the
Yeah,
legs.
somewhere, or at least low enough where it wouldn't be too obtrusive, instead of being on this sprue, which I'm most likely going to throw away.
I mean, we're throwing away this fruit.
Yeah, because especially when you have a lot like this, I only had one dude. Right? We know he's cold, he's got ice on him, he's Frost, but like all the different types of demons, all the different names, the Quasi Demon, the Main, the Frog Demon, the Wretch, the Boar Demon, like that's all on the sprue.
Mm-hmm.
I would want it on the dude.
Also, like, yeah, the undead, but there are
Different types of undead.
like visibly, there's two different ones. There's heavy set undead with knife in chest, and just heavy set undead with raggedy pants.
Well, I will say that on the undead sprue, they're just called, this is the Undead 2 sprue. They're not named.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is like this could have been like Zombie 1 and Zombie 2.
Yeah.
And then just in terms of like looking for them, obviously, yeah.
If
Because
you got two different sprues of this, say you got two, they ordered the two of the same sprue,
Yeah.
you're gonna have two of the same person, and you're not gonna be able to. You'd have to put a marker on it, put a little marker or something.
Yeah, then you're kind of back to square one of like,
But
yeah.
for the most part, I think this is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
The art's really good.
Very good art. I do like the art. These remind me of Shrinky Dinks for like the whole time. I'm just like I'm playing with freaking Shrinky Dinks. My nephew got Shrinky Dinks. Yeah, and we were making Shrinky Dinks. The art is really, really well done.
I will say that this is the one thing where the other set does, I think, a little better. I like the art style of the original one that we got.
It's a little bit more high fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
this is more here. Fun enough is I think this is more like old school, like second edition D&D art.
Yes.
Where this is more in the slightly in the horror vein, more so in the high fantasy vein.
Yeah,
even the giant.
This is much more, I would say, yeah, similar to like a concept of like horror or like a grim dark.
Yeah.
Like I could see like playing Warhammer. Obviously, if I don't have Warhammer miniatures, which I do, but if I was, let's say, playing like Warhammer Fantasy, and I wanted more my miniatures to have more of that gritty realism, I would use these. Like these undead are really good looking.
Yeah.
They're very good looking undead. And how many times do you say that about undead, right? But like Tar Man, the Tar undead guy from that old like 80s Return of the Living Dead. Very similar concept, like very grotesque. Even this is like high fantasy, but you could see this is more of like high fantasy, but like metal, like high fantasy. The undead also, not the undead, but the demons themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say that demons are the more that it looks horrifying look instead of like, oh look, that's a demon. Yeah, it's just more like, oh shit, that's a demon.
Yeah, 100%. Even like the Quasit demons look badass. Like they're scary, right? Like sometimes, like when you look at the Quasits in the DMG or the monster manual, if let's say you're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, they're scary looking, but they're adorable scary looking. Like you'd be concerned and they would be unnerving, but you wouldn't be scared. These Quasits here look like ghoulies. Remember the old movie Ghoulies? Look it up if you haven't seen it. But they're scary looking. They're like, oh, this is... If I saw one of those crawling around, I would go get a cleric. Like, you'd be like, oh, my house is infested. We got to clear this out. Right? Like, no one's...
Constantine to get this shit cleared out.
You got to get Constantine.
I will say that the gold version, which is however many... You'll see on the screen however many different types of monsters we got fit in one of these boxes, if these boxes are going to be available. I'm not sure if this is Kickstarter exclusive. I have no idea. But let's take a look at how we set this up and what these boxes look like. So there's a magnetic latch here on the side. Not the greatest magnetic latch, but it's serviceable. And the first thing you're going to say is, hey, dude, you guys did that backwards. And I disagree. I think you're right. I think they intended you to do it the other way around. And I'll show you why I didn't do that. So let's get all the way to the beginning. So this is the what we would determine as the beginning. So the issue that I have, if you were doing it this way, let's rotate this around. If you were going to do it this way, and you would open up the book in this way, every time I wanted to fish out one of these things, I'd have to go into that pouch, and then, especially the ones on the top, like if I have a pouch right here and I have to go into the top, I'm going to constantly be fighting this. The lower in the box it goes, the more I have to fight with the little border here. So that's why I'm like, wait a minute, why don't I just rotate it around and do it backwards? So now when I need to open up one of these things, I need to open one of these things, I don't have an issue. I'm not fighting against the book itself. Yeah, so you can just kind of fish in here and pull out one of your monsters. And then we have in the other box, the only thing that didn't fit in here was the bases. So we did put that in here just loose. We are probably going to get a Ziploc baggie or something like that and put it in here. But we just kind of threw all the extra bases in here. We just have all the extra bases in one of the bags. We have this is the flying set that we showed before, to show flying characters. Here is some of the things. Obviously, I'm just going to flip through this really quickly. This is kind of show you how we set this up. And just like any three-ring binder, you got to be a little careful of the things to make sure that things are not kind of jumping out at you. But here are all the bone spires that you can put out. I believe these are Underdark miniatures. You got little lizard and kind of brain people. You got all these little demon type creatures. Oh, the ooze monster. Yeah, more demons here. It almost looks like a slod that's not a slod. There's a nightmare in there. Oh, that's cool. We're gonna take that out. We're gonna take a look at that. Oh, and also the undead guy. Yeah, we're gonna look at that guy too. Like I said, it is on more of the side, as Jared and I were saying in the video. It's more of that grim dark kind of style, more of that, you know, I would say more of that kind of 80s, like more horror themed than kind of action themed, because that thing looks terrifying. That's a horrifying thing to look at. The cool thing about some of these miniatures, like this nightmare, is you notice that there's a slot right down the middle. If you can see right here, there's a slot right down the middle here. And you can, obviously, to connect these to bases, you just kind of just cram it in there. Trying to do this on camera, it's going to be fun. And obviously, you know, it's helped that you get the table, then there you go. And then what you can do, I believe, I'm not sure, but I think you can just stick a mini in there. Let's just see if we can stick a mini in there. Yeah, you can just stick one in there. And then you got... Come on, autofocus. There we go. Now we have this nightmare and this ghost riding that nightmare. So you probably can stick any mini in there. There may be a more proper way to doing this, but I just say, just stick the mini in there. I don't know. That's how I do it. I might be wrong. Don't follow me, because it might scratch the paint off of that one side. So just be careful if you're doing that. But yeah, or you can just have the nightmare by itself and just wreck and shop, just as the nightmares do. And obviously on the nightmare, the same on front and back. And on some of these other ones, you're going to have an actual front and back. And then we get into the more Underdark kind of miniatures. You got your cycle palms, then your mushroom monsters. You have your gropers, I believe. Gropers. And, you know, just giant cephalopod monsters that are going to chew your face off. You got some kind of trolls. You have Snurfneblin, if I probably horribly pronounced that name, but the dark gnomes. You got more of those weird mushroom monsters. Just kind of this is kind of the Underdark section here. Lizard folk, you got a couple lizard folk in there. I believe there was an entire lizard folk pack, which we didn't get, but this one has kind of like lizard folk type monsters. And someone will probably correct me in the comments of what the actual name is, but I'm just kind of firing off the hip here. You got spirits and magical effects, which is cool. You can get magical effects, so you have effects that are in-place effects, like you have a magic weapon that has been summoned, or some sort of effect, or a grasping hand that comes out, or some sort of monster that you summon in, or fire. You summon in fire, you can get a fire, you can use that almost like a flaming sphere. You have different other magical effects here. You have animals, you have unicorns, you have all this different kind of stuff. Like I said, some of this thing may be Kickstarter exclusive. Some of the stuff we may have been able to purchase at the time. You got your animals and your companions. You got the two of the cutest owl bear monsters you're gonna see. Just, you know, just general monsters here. Horses. I'm sad that the horse doesn't have a spot where you can mount the character in it, just like the Nightmare did. But I guess they want you riding a Nightmare more so than a regular horse. Here's a couple of just larger miniatures. Actually, here's a couple little pixie dragons. I think this is the Kickstarter exclusive. Some of this Kickstarter exclusive stuff, especially with the pixie dragons, I believe. As you see, sometimes you can only fit a few in there because sometimes these monsters, these creatures, are quite big. So you have to use these one with a large pouch and then 2 small pouches. But we're going to get into, obviously, we've already seen that there's ones with 6 small pouches in them. That it really just goes into how you want to organize your kind of book if you do eventually either get this up, if there's late pre-orders, or if they start selling this on their website. You know, big T-Rex. Look, you can ride the T-Rex, because that's always fun. Little pixies, mushroom people. You can probably use those as leshies if you're playing Pathfinder. And we try to keep them organized, so there's sometimes we left gaps. Like here's a cool thing where it's an elephant, where you can actually, there's a spot where you can build this contraption on the back where you can mount miniatures on the back of it, which is really cool. But we really didn't have anything else that kind of went with this theme and this kind of creature, so we kind of left stuff blank, which is, you know, could be used for future expansion if we do decide to pick more of these up. We do have a whole extra book that we have room for, because we weren't sure how many pages each book would hold and how many pages we would need to kind of separate stuff. We kind of crammed stuff in because we didn't have too many of these sheets left. I think these are all the sheets that we got, which is 20 sheets. Then you're going into just kind of regular NPC kind of humanoid characters. We have orcs, humans. I think these are the pirate themes, or maybe these are bandits. I have to look. Some more. There's a couple of dwarves in there, some humans, and just a variety of different creatures. Sometimes you have some things that are quite large here that can fit in these smaller pouches. What we tried to do is not bulk up too many. Like, obviously these are stacked on top of each other, but we try to keep it in one plane so we could see everything that's in there. So sometimes we wanted to maintain all these are pirates. I believe these are the pirates, and we wanted to make sure all the pirates are together in one area. So we put the pirates here, and we had some room, so we put cultists here since we didn't have any big things left to by the time we started filling this page. And you got the really big stuff. You got this is the underwater section that we had enough creatures to have underwater creatures, that we had some underwater creatures, more underwater creatures. We have 2 pages of that. Oh, big old shark. And here's the winter or the cold. Giant polar bears, a yeti. There's the frost giants behind there, but then you have this cloud giant here. Not really frost, but it's close enough. And then you have mephits, and you have a giant yeti, and all these other creatures. And these are all in the winter section. And then a couple of we had a couple of mechanical creatures. We didn't go too heavy in the mechanical creatures. I believe that these were just Kickstarter items that we got. And that's about the end of that. So yeah, if you wanted to organize them, you can kind of organize them however you see fit. I would definitely organize them as per the way they came on the spruces. So you put all your undeads in like 1 or 2. Yeah. You put your demons in 1 and 2. You put your fae and forest creatures in 1 and 2. And then you have them so that when you're going through, you be like blah blah blah. Oh, undead all here. You can even put little little note tabs on the edges of things, like, oh, here's the undead section. Yep. So makes it nice and quick, and especially if you're into kind of like playing at cons, like we love to do, it makes it super easy to find the miniatures you're looking for. And again, that was one of the earlier problems we had with that earlier set, was there was no good way of storing them. We were looking actually at buying something else to be able to store it, just so it would be easier to use, and it was travel. Like, yeah, and it was getting it was basically, yet again, becoming a hassle. And when things are hassle, you don't bother taking it out.
Yeah. So that's really it. Go check out. Oh no. Go check out. If you like what you see here, give us the like and subscribe if you want. Let us know if you got in on a Kickstarter, if you've used flat miniatures like this, what have your experiences been. Additionally, go check out Dungeon in a Box. See their miniature stuff if you like what you see here. I want to say thank you very much to Steve for hanging out with me. And I want to say thank you very much to everyone for hanging out with us here and looking at a very quick review of these flat minis. Have a good one.
Later.